Welcome to another story from Open the Book. I'm so pleased to be able to be here sharing this with you today while we still can't come into the assembly to do our lovely stories for you. But let's see what this story today is going to teach us. So it's called A Time to Build. Hooray! God's people can go home to Jerusalem after living in a strange land for a long time. But oh dear, the walls have fallen down. Everyone needs to learn to be a builder. And they need to lay brick upon brick upon brick until the walls are very high again. It sounds like very hard work to me. What do you think? Let's hear how they got on as we open the book and read our story. A Time to Build. My people have learned their lesson, God decided. It is time for them to come home. So God whispered in the ear of the king, Cyrus. He was king of the country where God's people were slaves. Send them home, God whispered. And King Cyrus did. And thousands of people returned to Jerusalem. But there was a lot of work to do when they got there. They had to rebuild their houses, so they had somewhere to live. And they had to rebuild their temple, so they had somewhere to worship God. And they also had to rebuild the walls around Jerusalem, so they had somewhere to hide from their enemies. Oh, it was hard work, and they had no end of problems. And for a very long time, it looked as if it would never be done. And then old King Cyrus died, and another king named Artaxerxes took his place. And God took the chance to help his people again by whispering in the ear of a man who could get the new king's attention. And this man's name was Nehemiah. His job was to bring the king his wine every day. But he first had to taste it. He had to do this to check that no one had put any poison in it. The king trusted him very much, and he was very puzzled when Nehemiah arrived one day, cup in hand, with a sad frown upon his face. "What is the matter, Nehemiah?" the king asked. "Why do you look so sad?" Nehemiah whispered a prayer before he answered. Forgive me, your majesty," Nehemiah begged. "I know it is my duty to smile in your presence, but I cannot. I have heard that my people are suffering in their homeland. The walls of Jerusalem are broken down, and I know that I could help if only I could go and join them. I also know that you, my dear king, have wood and stone, which would make their job so much easier. Please send me there with supplies to finish the job and bring an end to my people's suffering." King Artaxerxes thought long and hard. "Yes, Nehemiah," he answered, "you may go, but let me send some of my soldiers along to protect you on your way." Oh, Nehemiah thanked the king. He thanked God too, and he set off on his long journey. And when Nehemiah arrived, he found Jerusalem in a terrible state. But the people were pleased to see him. "Let us build up these walls," he encouraged them, "for God is with us. He gave me courage to speak to the king, and he persuaded the king to give us these supplies. And now God will help us finish this job." Oh, the people cheered and they set to work. It still wasn't easy. There were enemies to deal with, and so sometimes they had to work with a hammer in one hand and a sword in the other. But finally they finished. The walls were built, and their homes too, and they had even finished the temple where the people gathered to talk to God. Forgive us for not listening to you, they prayed. We promise to do better in the future, to live the way that you told us when you gave us this land so long ago. Thank you for giving us another chance and for bringing us home at last. Well, I hope you enjoyed that story. God's people realized that they had made a mistake by not listening to God, and so they said they were sorry, and God gave them another chance to live in their homeland. Let us close our eyes for a minute and imagine how it might have felt to be coming home after such a long time. Maybe you felt this way after you've been on holiday or you've been away from your home and you have finally come back. Now I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer, say amen after me at the end. Dear God, thank you that your people got a second chance to come home and rebuild their city. Thank you that you always give us a second chance when we get things wrong. Amen. So there's lots to think about from today's story, isn't there? How about second chances? That's really important, to try and give people second chances when they might have made a mistake. And also to try and have courage. And sometimes you have to be really brave when you're speaking on behalf of other people. So lots to think about today. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon.